Hello, everyone's Forest Focus. The final week of the transfer window has got off to a typically quiet start at Nottingham Forest. As a move for Eddie Nketiah collapses, a third bid for Santiago Gimenez goes in but is possibly rejected. Carmo does sign but is straight off to Olympiacos, and Fulham's Andreas Pereira is the shock link of Monday morning. Forest did beat Southampton 1-0 on Saturday in the Premier League. So we'll discuss all that and probably a bit more in the company of Greg Mitchell. First of all, Greg, how are you doing?
Good, yeah. Recovering from a successful weekend. It's like it's back in the mid-90s. Forest in European positions, Oasis touring. Everything's looking good.
Oh, yeah. I suppose you'll somehow manage to get a ticket for that, won't you, Oasis?
Absolutely.
Good to have you with us. Second guest is former Reds defender Kelvin Wilson. How are you this morning, Kelv?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Chilled weekend, so nice and fresh this morning.
Excellent. Greg, I'll let you kick us off because you were at the game. We'll start with the game, by the way, for everyone watching, and then we'll move on to transfers. But just general thoughts on the game. The journey back home has been pretty sweet, I guess.
Yeah, convincing result, clean sheet, just everything you wanted. First half was excellent again, which when we came out for the second, it was a slight concern thinking, oh no, it's not going to be this again, is it? Where the second half's completely different, but they didn't trouble us. We looked, convincing. We looked like we had it from the first minute, really, and it was disappointing that it was only one goal. I just thought that the defenders at the back were superb when needed, and it just looked like we thoroughly deserved it. And after watching Southampton, I don't think they're cannon fodder. I don't think after that Newcastle performance that they're just going to lose every game. I think it's going to end up being a really good result.
Yeah, I suppose the question coming out of it when the dust settles, Calvin, is were we really good? Were they really bad? Is it often the case that you make the team look bad? Because Southampton, the stats, they had 5 shots on goal, only 1 on target. So it really was a case that Forest really did control the game.
Yeah, to be fair, I've had that question quite a bit this morning. I was in the gym and a few people coming up to me saying, "Do you think Southampton were just poor?" But no, I thought, an away game in the Premier League, there's never one easy one. So for Forest to perform how they did and finally see a game out, keep a clean sheet and see it out and win the game 1-0. So the players will take massive confidence from that, massive confidence. And it was well-deserved. Again, I agree with Greg. I don't think Southampton are going to be the whipping boys. I don't think they're going to be poor. I think they will get results. So, yeah, overall, I thought it was a fantastic performance and obviously a great result.
Yeah, definitely. We did really control them. They played a bit weird, like they played with 2 wingers and no strikers. It was a bit strange the way they went about it. And maybe that helped. Like Milenkovic, Greg, has got a lot of plaudits for his debut. Just watching him live in person, does he look like a leader? I was interested if you were close to him at set pieces. Can you see if he's organising and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, Murillo plays so much better when he's got a confident defender next to him as well at his age, and that was brought out. That was the main thing I saw, that Murillo just looked so much more in control as well. Milenkovic is controlling people through set pieces and getting the ball out, and I'm excited about the pair of them, to be honest. I think it could be a real thing that we've needed for a long while. And, with Bolly on the bench, or Bolly needed when we need 3 at the back, it's where we needed to shore up. And I think we've certainly got the right guy. He looks superb.
Yeah, I mean, how much difference can he make, Kelv? Because he's played a lot in Serie A, a lot for his country. Only 12 million kind of might distract from how good he could be for us. Just having someone alongside Murillo for a whole season, how big could that be?
Yeah, I think it was the main place we had to strengthen. We had to get a centre off that's going to play week in, week out. Because keep changing with Murillo, it's going to be uncomfortable for him. He wants a partner there. I think we forget how young Murillo is. I think there's a lot of expectation on him just because of his own personal performances. But at his age, he does need someone at the side of him just to remind him of a few things maybe at times. And I think that he might have the right guy at the side of him. And I think with Bolly in backup, I think it's perfect, because off the pitch as well, Bolly will be a massive influence, especially on the likes of Murillo, because they play the same position, and he'll give him advice and he'll help him along. But the main thing is, obviously I don't know much about the new lad, but hopefully they can stay fit and they can have a good run together in the art of the defence.
And every time you came on here last season, I'd have to ask you about set piece goals conceded, not seeing games out. Like you said, that's a big thing. And how big is that for confidence for a defensive unit from your experience?
Yeah, it's massively. It's to say that they got a clean sheet. It'll be like a striker scoring a goal. To get confidence from that. Defenders get confidence from clean sheets, and the more we go on, and when I was there, I think we got something like 24 in a season at the City Ground, clean sheets, and it breeds confidence. It gives you so much confidence as a player, and I think the back four probably need that after last season. I think they would have gone into the season probably still remembering about the set pieces last year, and they probably would have been a bit nervous at times from corners, especially against Bournemouth. But I think now, when you start to tick off games and you're realising that you're dealing with these situations that were a problem last year, you get so much confidence. But I'm sure Nuno would have worked on this in pre-season without a doubt, because they would have gone over all the stats over the summer and seen that was one that stood out like a sore thumb.
There's a couple of defensive questions I wanted to ask you as well from defending in a game like that. Firstly, what's it like playing in a game where the opposition's got 65% of the ball, but they're not really hurting you? Is it just a case of staying switched on?
Yeah, that's all it is. That's all it is. It's mentally draining at times, especially when you're playing against, no disrespect to Southampton or Bournemouth who have played so far, but when they come up against the Man Cities of this world, that's when it's really tough. You can finish the game, you can feel absolutely exhausted, and the stats will say that you've hardly ran, but mentally you've had to stay switched on for the full 90 minutes. But when it's all in front of you, it's comfortable, and you do catch yourself saying to yourself in your head throughout the game, oh, if this stays like this, I'm okay. It's when they start getting in behind that's the problem, turning you and you have to run and things. But when it's at a pace that suits you as well, you're happy for them to keep the ball as long as they're not hurting you.
And the other thing I was going to ask as well, before I throw it back to Greg, was when you're in a game and they're not playing with a central striker, like I said, Brereton Diaz was wide, Armstrong kind of played wide, and they pushed midfielders forwards. How do you deal with that as a defender? Because are you more comfortable just up against a big striker and you know exactly what you got to do?
But again, that depends on the team. I think Southampton have probably just only this season planned to do that. So obviously they've not got it yet. They don't know what they're doing. But when you play against the likes of with City or Arsenal, teams like this who might not go with an out-and-out 9, it can be a nightmare, because if you get someone that plays in a 10, you don't know if to drop off or if to go tight. So if you drop off, it gives him time to turn and run at you. If you go tight, you get the third man runners, as in your midfielders or your wingers coming in. So it can be a nightmare. You do want someone up against you so you know what your job is. But Southampton, they didn't know how to do it. So as a defender, it's a comfortable afternoon. But like I say, if you play against the top teams in this world that don't always need a number 9, it can be a nightmare. You can be left in no man's land sometimes as a centre half.
A couple of quick thank yous before I throw a couple to Greg. Steve Sheridan, thank you very much for becoming a member. Appreciate the support. I don't know how I even say this one. Thank you for your support, whoever you are. Just a series of letters and numbers, but thank you very much. The other thing to say is our next live show, our last live show of the year, is next Thursday, September the 5th, 7 p.m. with Lewis on the panel, Greg on the panel, and a few other regulars. Tickets are on sale now, and the link is in the live chat. And it's in the description. It'd be great to see as many people there as possible, especially as I left it really late to start selling tickets. So pretty blind panic for me. So help me out and buy a few tickets. £1 from each one goes to charity as well. Greg, the first half panned out kind of like it felt like we were going to lose 1-0 in a way because we were playing so well. We were getting so many good positions. Were you encouraged by it, or were you nervous by it that we just couldn't get a goal?
Taking the first half completely separate, I thought Sangare is looking like that new player. I really enjoyed watching him. Anderson's certainly got his position. They were saying him and Gibbs-White might not be able to play together. He was looking sharp and good. And it's just the pace we've got. It's like, but we noticed it a bit with Bournemouth in the first half and Southampton. It's frightening. If we go for there's going to be chances. And I'm not surprised we were like one of the top teams for shots and chances this weekend, because that's exactly how we set out to do. And to do it away from home as well is just completely different to what we're used to. And when we walked out the ground as well, I was so surprised to see Southampton did have 65% possession because it felt like we had so much of the ball, but that was purely because when we had the ball, we were doing something with it. We looked like we needed it and we wanted to do something rather than just have it for the sake of having it, which they did. So, yeah, completely full of confidence. Probably not good for me at this time of season, but that type of first half performance away from home, no matter what the team, they're all Premier League teams, they all deserve to be there, is so encouraging. And to have the quality on the bench as well coming on, we are certainly building something, and it just seems a lot more organised and steady, the recruitment process mainly as well, and the players that we're getting in. So it's just exciting times.
Yeah, we'll come on to recruitment. We'll do lots on that, certainly. I mean, I see from the stats, Kel, Forest have had as many shots on target as like Man City and Liverpool this season, which is really encouraging. It's probably the difference, like we saw in the first half, getting in great positions but not turning it into goals. Is that another kind of step in the evolution of Forest now to be more ruthless, more clinical?
Yeah, without a doubt, but going back to last season, I was never concerned about the going forward situation. Obviously, the striker situation was a bit of a problem, but I think we're always going to create chances with the two wide players that we've got, and obviously Gibbs White in the 10 role. So I don't think that was ever a worry. It was just trying to get someone on the end of them to finish them off. The worry was more at the back. It was always conceding, leaking goals, silly goals, and it looks like they're kind of getting that balance now. We look really tight at the back, and we look brilliant going forward. So the balance looks good. It just looks like a steady ship now. I think last year was a little bit like a pantomime at times, but I just think this year looks really steady. We look like a team. Everyone knows their jobs, and it's very encouraging. And hopefully they can kick on. I think they look so confident. Sangare again. I know it was the second game of the season, but he would take a lot of confidence from that game, as much as his experience. He's not at the best start for us, so he'll take a lot from that, and hopefully he'll kick on from it, which I think he will. So yeah, I think at the minute everything's positive, and I think mainly it's because it looks like a steady ship. It's not a pantomime.
You mentioned Sangare there, as both of you, Greg. He kind of sums up a bit of the performance and a bit of. I think he's integral to anything we do this season, because first half he was really good. Second half we started slowly, and he got a booking, and it seemed to throw him. Do you think?
Yeah, he needed, as soon as that booking happened, then there was another challenge after it, and you could feel the crowd go, "Oh God, he's got to come off now," because he hadn't lost his head at all, but I think when they're a bit more tired, they're prone to make a bit more of a mistake, aren't they, professional footballers? And it looked like it was going that way. And just like with the first game, the quality on the bench, Yates comes on, and he's this more attacking Ryan Yates now, and he changes that midfield a little bit more, and it's the perfect combination. If Sangare is only a 60, 70 minute man, just to get us through that first hour at the minute, then fantastic to get Ryan Yates on, because he does improve us when he comes on.
500 people watching, which is great on a sunny bank holiday. Appreciate everyone being with us. Greg mentions Yatesy there, Kelvin. He wasn't really in anyone's team to start the season. He wasn't in my team, to be honest. But we've already seen kind of the value of him coming off the bench in different ways. He's played as an attacking sort of number 8 in the first game, and then he's covered Sangare in the second game. So no matter what happens in the transfer window in the next 5 days, he's going to have a big role to play, isn't he?
Oh, without a doubt. I don't think they'll sell Ryan Yates. I think they'll be mad to sell him. It's a bit like Marmite Ryan. A lot of people want him in a team. A lot of people don't rate him. But I think he's definitely someone you want in your squad. He will impact. Is an impact sub. You get a lot of subs who come on and they just come on for the sake of it. It's just sometimes it's just to make a sub. But I think with Ryan, you'd make a sub. You bring him on, and he's going to make an impact, whether that's defending or going forward. He's always 100%. No one can ever question his attitude. But his quality sometimes isn't probably as good as the other players. But yeah, I'd 1,000,000% keep him in the squad, because he will always impact the game in whatever way, whether that, like I say, that's defending or going forward. But going back to Sangare, I think when they took him off, the position he plays, once he's got a yellow card, it's very hard for him, because he's that kind of player what's breaking things up, trying to nick the ball. And when you're trying to nick the ball and things like that, you've got to time it perfect, because if you don't, you're obviously clipping legs and you're making fouls. And you know, when you make 2-3 fouls in a row, it's going to be a booking. So I think that was very clever from Forest, which they made the sub. And when you, like I say, when you got Ryan Yates, it's pretty easy to do.
Is it even harder now? I mean, you've only been retired from playing at a really good level about, what, 4, 5, 6 years? I'm not sure how long it is. But even now, you get a booking, it feels like you're walking an even narrower tightrope to get that second booking, especially at the top level in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's frightening now. I think because of VAR and things like that, it's virtually impossible to get away with anything. So, yeah, I think once you get a booking, and in the Premier League, once you go down to 10 men, it's always hard in whatever league you're playing to play with a player less. But in the Premier League, you know, it's always even more tougher. So I think when you've got a player who's been booked, you know, it's sensible if you've got the right replacement to replace him. And Forest have the ideal one in Ryan. So yeah, I just think nowadays you're playing a little bit with fire if you leave a player on a yellow card, especially if he's known for his tackling and stuff and he gets involved, which Sangare is going to have to in the position he plays. If it's someone like one of the wingers, you'd probably leave them on because they're not really going to tackle. You know, they might have got a yellow card for kicking a ball away or something. It's very rarely they get booked for a foul. So when it's a certain player in a certain position, I think, yeah, you've got to be sensible and use your head.
Yeah, well, Joe Linton got away with it yesterday. I don't know how. He absolutely clotheslined that player for Bournemouth. And yeah, nothing happened there. But it's still, yeah, VAR. We'll get onto VAR in different shows. Thankfully, it hasn't come to us yet so far. Thank you also for signing up for membership. The Pharmacy Design channel. That's incredibly specific. Thank you for your support there. The other midfielder to talk about, Greg, is Elliot Anderson, who came in for his first Premier League start. He got a lot of praise. What did you make of him?
He's strong. He's got strength. He wants the ball, and when he gets it, he keeps hold of it. Yeah, he's going to just keep improving for us. I don't think there was enough minutes from Newcastle. They were all excited about him, and I think we should be rightfully now as well. He seems like a player who's going to feature in the starting 11 more often than not, and he hasn't done anything to make you believe otherwise so far. I think he's going to be really involved. He'll get some goals as well, certainly. Yeah, just enjoyed watching him again. It's going to be really interesting to see if Nuno decides these players just need more minutes and gets them on Wednesday, or whether they have a little bit of a rest now, ready for Saturday. But I'd be playing Anderson just to keep getting him used to this team and getting him involved.
It's one downside though, Greg, and a few of them, particularly Anderson, was his set piece delivery was absolutely terrible. I mean, how frustrating was that?
Yeah, I was a bit. It didn't seem as bad in the ground to me. You know, I know it was always the first man, but you could see the idea of it getting it towards that near post. I don't think it was a bad crossing. It was just by design. But when he got took off them, there was like an ironic cheer in the away end, which I thought was a bit harsh. Yeah, we're going to keep working on them, aren't we? And didn't our goal pretty much come for a corner, so we can't be doing it too bad.
Yeah, you've led me nicely into the goal, which was going to be next. I mean, we did score from a corner, Calv. It was second phase, but we kept the ball alive really well. What was your take on the goal we scored?
Yeah, it was a good goal. You know, it was good reactions from obviously Gibbs White, and it was nice for us to score from a set piece. I know it wasn't directly from it, but it was nice to score from it. So yeah, I think, you know, we had a few chances before as well. So it was like you said earlier in the show, is it going to be one of them days? But when it went in, I was pretty confident that was it. We'd win the game. So yeah, it was a good goal. You know, I think it was just a good reaction, and it won us the game. So yeah,
funny performance from Morgan, Greg. I don't think he played particularly well, to be honest. Second half, he was giving the ball away a bit, but. You know, what did you make of him actually watching him? Was he kind of a 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10? I thought he was, or not?
I didn't notice that. I thought, do you know what I love about him? And he does. I'm going to get stick with this. I know he gives the ball away, but when he gives it away, it's always like this frantic thing where he's like his legs are everywhere, and there's a lot of times he gets out of that, and defenders just can't deal with it. All the experts are saying that he's got to score goals this season, and he's scored a goal. He's won us the game. Yeah, it wasn't too bad a performance at all from him, and it was a good finish, and he looked involved, and he's just going to keep plodding away, and I think he will get 10 goals this season.
I think so. People in the chat saying Sven-Göran Eriksson's died, which is obviously, really sad news. So, yeah, very sad indeed. On Morgan, Kelv, I mean, does he care if he plays badly and scores or not?
No, of course he's going to want to play well. I think, obviously I don't know him personally. The impression I get from him, because he constantly wants the ball, whether he gives it away 10 times, he'll still want the ball, which is gold dust sometimes with players, because players do start to hide when, they can hear the groans from the crowd and stuff like that. But Gibbs White don't get that. He still wants the ball. I think, he's only human. He's not going to have every game's going to be a good game. So for him to have a bad game and score, that's the signs of a good player. He kept going and he got his goal. But I agree, he does need to add goals to his game, especially when he plays as a number 10. Number 10s have to score goals. And he creates goals, so hopefully he can do that again this season. But overall, it wasn't his best game, but he won us the game. So as much as people might say he wasn't the best, he scored the goal that won us the game. So, I think he'll only, as the season goes on, get better for us, and he'll be just as important as been since he signed for us.
Yeah, definitely. Just a word for our sponsors of Trent Navigation before we talk about a couple of other things and move on to transfers. Saturday, the 31st of August, that's this Saturday, straight after Forest v Wolves, the Oasis gig, not the real Oasis, but the second best thing at the Nav, free entry, straight after full time. So do get down and enjoy that, and then join Greg at the gig. Where's it going to be? Have they said where it's going to be? I haven't even followed it yet.
Oh, come on, man. At least 10 shows in Wembley, Heaton Park. That's what I'll try and go to. I went to the Stone Roses reunion gig at Heaton Park. That was incredible. They'll be everywhere, won't they? They'll make millions and millions out of it, and that's probably the only reason. But we can all lap it up and reminisce and remember the good times when we were there back in the day. So, it'll be good.
Favourite Oasis song? Have I asked you this before?
No. Probably Champagne Supernova. I still love that song, and it goes on for so long. It's just brilliant. But I've just had the Definitely Maybe album on. I'm back in the 90s. It's great.
Are you remotely bothered by any of this, Kelvin, or not?
I am, to be fair. Listen, I've got nothing against Oasis, and the music's probably great, but it's not. I don't know any song. I'll know them if I hear them, but I can't tell you the name of them. So yeah, I'm sure you'll have fun, Greg. It'll be great.
If I get a ticket.
You will. God. Greg Mitchell not getting a ticket for something. Come on, he will. He'll find a way. Right. Just mopping up the game quickly. Nuno's subs and how we managed the game. And also Taiwo. We'll come on to Taiwo. Nuno's subs and how we managed the game after scoring, Greg. Should we have won by more, maybe? Or are you not bothered about that?
No, I do think that's one thing we need to concentrate on, because that horrendous record we've got of conceding in the last 10 minutes. Southampton looked never like they were going to score until that last 10 minutes. And if we'd have got a second goal, best line of defence, isn't it? So there's going to be plenty of games this season where we're going to need that second goal to win the game. Absolutely. And it would have just made it a lot nicer, those last 5 minutes, and especially the 7-8 minutes injury time. And it's something that we'll work on, because we do. I don't know whether it's a mental thing. I'm sure Kelvin will be able to tell us what it's like when you get that kind of, conceded in the last 10 minutes. But it felt like we were in danger for the only time in the game. And it's like Southampton knew it. Bournemouth certainly knew it the week before. We've really got to be careful with that. Yeah,
Southampton didn't carry a single threat, really, apart from the youth who came off the bench. I said this on the post.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah, Dibbling or someone. Yeah, he looks a class player. Just speak to that, what Greg says there, if you don't mind, Calv, about seeing out a last 10 minutes. Even if you're in control, is it still nerve-wracking?
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially when you've got history of conceding goals, and a lot of them players in that team, obviously, last season went through that, conceding goals. And, it does play on your mind. It definitely does. And it does get a little bit nervous. And then a player or someone might do something that's out of character because of them nerves. So I think against, Southampton, no disrespect to them, they're not going to be up there, but I don't think they'll struggle. I don't think they'll be up there. But the better teams, we're going to have to find ways to kill the game off. because they will have chances. Other teams, especially in the top half of that division, will have chances without a doubt. And 9 out of 10, them clubs take a chance. So if we get 1, 2, 3 chances, we probably need to take at least 2 of them to win a game. Because how often do you see teams win 1-0 in the Premier League nowadays? It's very rare. There's always goals. So I do think we need to find a way to kill games off.
In part, not totally, obviously, Greg, that leads on to strikers. Tyro got some real mixed reviews when he came on. What did you make of him?
I think he needs minutes, doesn't he? And again, going to the Newcastle game, I hope he starts, because if it's a fitness thing and we've only got him for 20 minutes at the end of each game, it's not going to be very valuable to us, is he? Because he didn't look on the pace. He didn't look as quick, and I'm certainly not here to say he's done, because we know how good he is and how quality he can be. But I'm hoping it's just getting him match fit. When I watched training the other week, neither him or Wood were training with the first team, so maybe they're both just getting back to it a little bit later than the others. But we know he's got it in him. We know he's got the quality. We know he's got the goals, the pace. Didn't see it on Saturday, unfortunately, but by no means does that you write someone like Tyro off, because he's going to come back with a vengeance, hopefully, and keep injury free.
I think Greg's right, Kelv. He needs a run of games. Pat says it here. He needs a run of games. The question is, how is he going to get them? If we sign a striker, which we'll come on to, and we've got Chris Wood, how do you get Tyro fully fit, and how big's this season for him, do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough one, really, because no matter how much you train, it's never the same as match fitness, especially when you've been out a long time. When I was at Forest my last season there, I was out for a year with a back injury, and I trained for 3 months before I came back in, and I thought, yes, I'm ready. And then you go back into the game, it was QPR away, and I was fine up until 60 minutes, and then absolutely just blew up. You can't match fit without playing matches. And then you say playing the reserves or the 23s, whatever it is nowadays, it's still not the same. It's not a match pace as a Premier League game. So it's a tough one for Nuno to get the minutes into him. But, if he's fit, I guarantee you he'll play Wednesday. 100% he'll play on Wednesday. If he's fit, we don't know. But, if he's fit, he'll play, and he needs minutes. He's got to have minutes to get fit. And, yeah, I agree. He doesn't look sharp, which... can't blame him. He's been out a hell of a long time. It's been a bad injury for him. So, only minutes will solve that problem. But I agree. We're not a team like Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, where we can play him, and sometimes if he's not having the best game, play with like 10 men a little bit, and to get him the minutes. We need 11 players at it every week. So sometimes it'll be tough for Nuno to put him in. And giving him 10, 15, 20 minutes here and there, it might help him, but I believe that you need a good run to get fit. So if we sign a player, will he go out on loan and get fit? I don't know. Will they keep him because we need him? I don't know how they're going to navigate that one. It's a tough one. But I'm sure Tyro is going to want to play as well. So, yeah, it's a tough one. I'm sure they've got a plan how they're going to get him fit. But... yeah, it's a tough one, how it's going to work.
Let's talk transfers then and start with strikers, because it's probably the biggest conversation point. Last night, Greg, we thought Eddie Nketiah was coming. Now it looks like he's definitely not. Loads of outlets saying that deal's collapsed and maybe Crystal Palace is his likely destination. While we've been recording, John Percy, who's normally spot on with these things, has said we're in advanced talks with Santiago Gimenez, the Feyenoord striker. So maybe he's the one. We'll break it all down, but just starting with Nketiah. Are you disappointed it's not going to be him, or are you not bothered?
Yeah, never wanted him. Yeah, I am disappointed, but if the guy doesn't want to, it sounds like us and Arsenal we're quite close in what each other wanted. So if it's a player thing, then waste of time, just forget it. If he doesn't want to come up here, then move on. And it sounds like Palace staying in London, that's what he wants. But Crystal Palace don't like paying money. I know they're going to get a lot for these 2 defenders, but I'd still be very surprised if he goes there. So he could end up just staying at Arsenal and not playing many games, having a League Cup run, and that's it. So yeah, I was disappointed, but the more you hear about Gimenez, the more excited you get. And last night that looked a bit ropey with Feyenoord saying we were nowhere near, and a lot of the money was going to be on bonuses, and that's not what they want. So hopefully we've worked on it through the night, and we get him in soon, because when's the deadline? Friday. We don't want to be signing
11 p.m.
We don't want to be signing him on Friday. Let's get him in, Thursday or what have you, Wednesday, and see if we can get a last 10-minute entrance at the City Ground next Saturday. That'd be great. But yeah, I'd certainly want him. He looks like the kind of player we would be after, and he's got so much potential, and he's got the track record in Holland.
Yeah, I like Gimenez. We'll come on to Gimenez. I'm perfectly happy with him. I am disappointed we didn't get Nketiah, in the sense that I didn't understand why people online were scoffing at him so much, because our recruitment teams picked him out. Palace have picked him out, and Palace have got a good eye for a player like Adam Wharton, Eze, stuff like that. They've shown they can recruit, so I think he would have been a good signing. Just on Nketiah, Kelvin, what did you make of that one before we get on to Gimenez?
I think he's a great player. I've watched him a lot for Arsenal. I think he's one of them players that when I watch him, I think I would have hated to play against him. He's strong. He doesn't stop running. Don't get me wrong, it takes him a couple of chances to get a goal, but I think that's his age, because he's not played a lot of games. He's not a clinical finisher. It does take him a couple of chances to score. But as an all-round number 9, I think he would have been unbelievable for us. I think he's just exactly what we need. He's not big time. He's not moaning. He runs. He puts his body on the line. He puts his foot in as well. Like I say, I used to watch him for Arsenal and just think, I'd hate to play against him. He's a young lad. He's enthusiastic. He's strong. So I think I'm really disappointed in that one. I think it would have been a great signing, long term as well, because he's so young. I just think he would have been a great signing. I'm not surprised. Well, I am surprised that we've not done all we can to sign him, to be honest, especially with the situation with a number 9. I honestly do. I know I'm probably hyping him up a little bit too much, and I don't know him personally, by the way. I'm not trying to get him a move, but I honestly think he's really, really good player. Really good player.
Yeah, I liked his movement. He's different. I watched him a fair bit, and I thought he was different to Wood and Taiwo. So it's a shame. I think it's a shame. But anyway, he's not coming by the look of it. 640 people watching, which is great. Do us a favour and hit like on the stream. Like I say, it does make a big difference. Gimenez, then. I'll ask Kelvin about it. I haven't seen enough of him to comment on him as a player, so it's really difficult. It just is. Does it feel like a calculated gamble? And you just discuss, you trust the recruitment team who have been good this summer, because he's done well in the Dutch league. The Dutch league is just one of those leagues where you just don't know. Player A can be great in the Premier League, player B can struggle. So is it one where we just have to, I hate saying this, trust the process?
Yeah, I think so. Again, I don't know anything about him. I'm sure the recruitment team have done their own work and looked at him. Obviously, it's a completely different league, so it's hard to judge. But sometimes you can look at a player and see what his attributes are, as in strength, speed, things like that. And I think that you can see if they can fit into a certain league. I think some players that are maybe not physically strong and things like that, then that's when you start to worry. I think the boy that went to United, Van der Beek, I can't remember his name now, the Dutch player, I can't remember his name.
Donny Van der Beek.
Never played a game. And I think when I look at him, and I'm not no recruitment guy or scout, but I think it was pretty obvious that he wasn't going to fit into the Premier League. So it was a strange one, So I think a lot comes with physicality in the Premier League. I think it's, if players are physically right, they're obviously technically right. That's why they're being named to come. That's not a problem. But I think the physical side of the Premier League is completely different to any league in the world.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch, I've only seen the YouTube videos, Greg, but he does look like he's more like a Chris Wood type. Good in the box, good link play, can pick a pass. Not necessarily like Wood, and he looks like he can finish. My only reservation is that the standard of goalkeeping and defending in the Dutch league is obviously nowhere near, but he's got a great goal record. And I think I read a bit as well that is encouraging, that when Slot went to Liverpool, he was quite keen to take him with him. And I don't know how accurate that reporting is, but that's certainly encouraging if that's true, isn't it?
Someone in the comments said that earlier about Liverpool being in, so that makes sense now. the Dutch league is still one of the best leagues in Europe. You know, you score 40 goals in 64 games. You're a very good footballer, or whatever the stats are. You know, you give a guy like him the opportunity at a lower league Premier League club, and it can change a season. It can change a lot of things. So, you know, absolutely get him in. If the medical's booked, what people are saying, then superb. Like, get him in and see what happens, because we do desperately need a striker. And I understand if he's closer to the Chris Wood style, because that's kind of what Nuno has been basing his team around, a Chris Wood player rather than a Taiwo, just because of the minutes on the pitch. So that makes sense as well. So yeah, it all sounds positive for me.
Yeah, I like it. I'm happy with the signing if he comes. My bigger worry, Kelvin, was, do we end up with no one coming in, or probably even worse, which still might happen? We haven't signed him yet. Do we end up with a last-minute scramble and get another Divock Origi or Chuba Akpom or someone that doesn't advance us, I guess?
Hopefully that doesn't happen. You know, hopefully we've learned our lesson with that. But I'm with you. We the main position we needed to strengthen, I felt, and I think a lot of people felt, was a centre forward. And I thought that would have been the first on the list, even though I know they cost the most money than they are to get. I thought that would have been first on the list in the summer to get, was a centre forward, you know, but obviously it's not been the case yet. But I think it's a must. I think they know it's a must. I think Nuno 100% knows that's a must. So I'm sure we'll bring someone in, but like you say, Matt, I hope, you know, it's not a panic buy and it's someone just for the sake of bringing in a centre forward to probably keep the fans quiet and just tick a box. I hope it's someone logically good and what we need, who's going to benefit the team.
I mean, I'd almost rather sign no one and just, you know, get through a season than because I don't think we'll get relegated with Wood and Taiwo unless desperately unlucky. But we've got Jota Silva, we've got Morgan can play false nine, we can work it out and we can reassess in January if needed. But I would rather not scramble and sign someone who is a dud at the last minute on deadline day.
Fabrizio's tweeted now as well, saying that it's he's put his egg timer on, so it sounds very close, Gimenez, and it's certainly not a scramble for that one because we've been on about him for so long, haven't we? So they're clearly doing the homework on him and they've recognised he can strengthen us. So I desperately want to see it happen because we know that's, you know, Sells hasn't done bad the last two games. The keeper isn't as a desperate situation as a proper striker is, I don't think.
Yeah, I think from what we're hearing, it'll happen, and I'm happy with that. Him or Nketiah, I'd have been happy with, and I think it makes us a better squad, and it goes a long way to not ensuring, but pushing us towards a fourth season of Premier League football, and then see how high up the league we can finish. The interesting transfer rumour today was Andreas Pereira, Kelvin, Fulham midfielder. He linked with like Juventus and other clubs and Chelsea, of course, but good player. Plays as a 10, but has been playing as number 8 since Smith Rowe came in. The thing I can't really see with it is it's late in the window. They don't need to sell because they've sold Polinia, and you're going to have to pay him a lot of money to get him out of London in wages, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't know where that rumour's come from. It's obviously might have a little bit of truth to it, but I can't see that one. Yeah, you're going to have to pay him a hell of a lot of money in wages, and you know, yeah, I just you told me before we came on about that one. I didn't hear that, so I'm very surprised with it. Good player, you know, it's not questioning his ability or being a good player or not. Just a surprise one. Not sure that one will happen.
No. Daily Mail are reporting that one. I mean, I suppose, Greg, as well. Like, do we need him? I'd rather put any money into a striker, to be honest. Or do we need another midfielder, even with Danilo out, or not?
If he's good enough, yeah. I mean, he's another
good enough.
Well, exactly.
That
answers the question for me. Yeah, if there's an improvement to this squad, no matter who we've got to improve it if the option's there. I mean, I was looking and he's played like 71 times for Fulham, so I'm really surprised they're willing to let such an important player go if it's true. Yeah, I won't say anything about the source if it is just from there, but it'd be fantastic to see a player like him come, and it shows that we're able to sway them away from a team that we should be really battling up against.
Yeah, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. It's just like FFP or PSR and all that stuff. Like, you've got to allocate resources accordingly, and if you're going to have to pay him, don't know. You'd have to pay him an absolute fortune to make him leave.
Does it mean
Fulham.
do we know of an out? I mean, is there a surprise outgoing? You just never know, do you?
Yeah,
Never know.
I know. I certainly hope not. Well, the surprise out would be more Gibbs White, wouldn't it? So, no, I really, really hope not, certainly. Right. We'll just talk a little bit as well about David Carmo. I'll ask Greg this as a fan first, actually. David Carmo signs for us and goes straight off to Olympiacos. Are you fuming about it, or are you seeing the potentially bigger picture that he's Murillo's long-term successor, or a bit of both?
It's you come to expect it, I suppose, with multi-club ownership. That's how it works, and it can benefit us sometimes. And sometimes you just think, well, how's that got any benefit to Nottingham Forest, the football club? But he does seem like a good player. We do know Murillo's almost certainly playing his last season for us here. So are we just, getting prepared, ready for next season? Which, if so, is very sensible. But you talk about PSR and stuff like that. I think the deal was something like only 3 million a year, wasn't it? So it's not a massive thing for Forest at all. So we shall see. Obviously, if it kept happening and they were getting the pick of the players, I think that's when you'd see fans becoming fuming. But we've signed a player probably for cheaper than we would do this time next year. So I just see it as planning in advance. Benefit of the doubt, we'll say.
I mean, he is from Mark Sutherns says he's really good, and I kind of trust Mark. And I see people online who I agree, respect what they say a lot, saying he's a good player. So yeah, it looks like a good signing. 10 million from Porto, 5-year deal. I assume Olympiacos pay a loan fee that offsets year 1. I guess year 2, 3, 4, and 5 needs to be at Forest. What do you think about a player going on loan to Olympiacos, Kelvin? When they're an established player, is it going to make him better as a player? Or is it just a holding pattern for a year, really, given the quality of the league?
I think a bit of both, really. I think he's going to Olympiacos. Let's not forget that Olympiacos are a massive club. They're a big club, so that's great on its own for him to go and play for a big club and get the experience, because he's going to be coming back to a big club with a lot of pressure to stay in the division. So I think it's sensible from Forest. I think it's he's not going to play, so he's going to need minutes. So it's a waste of time bringing him, having him on the bench all season, then expecting him just to go straight in and replace Murillo if he does go next season, and expecting him to hit the ground running without playing any minutes the previous season. So I think it's clever from them to loan him out to Olympiacos. As for the player, obviously he's agreed to it. He knew that was going to happen before he signed. But I just find it strange, because I wouldn't, if I was going to sign for a club and I was going, right, we're going to buy you, but then we're going to loan you out, I'd be like, not a chance. No way. Why am I going to come then? So I can never get my mind around why players, unless you're a really young lad, like 18, 19, and you go into a Man City or a Arsenal or whatever. But no, I don't. As a player, I just don't understand it. I wouldn't like that. So, each their own, I guess. But I just find it a bit strange. Always have when players sign for a club but then go straight out on loan. I just don't understand it.
With multi-club ownership as well, Greg, like you say, it's here to stay. It's with Chelsea. Chelsea and Man City are the biggest exponents of it. They'll sign players and move them around. We do it as well, obviously. I think is the difference with Chelsea and Man City is they're definitively top dogs in their family. With us, Olympiacos is always going to be Marinakis' family's first love. We're the Premier League club. You don't?
I don't. I think he's won European trophies at Olympiacos now. He can win the league any season he chooses. For him and his family, and I'd imagine the family name having a successful Premier League club will mean absolutely everything. He's been there and done it with Olympiacos. I'm sure he loves them, and who knows whether he, in a few years he decides to have won everything he can at Olympiacos and let them go and make absolute sure that Nottingham Forest are playing in Europe every season. That's the way I see it. Anyway, I think what he's doing as well with bringing the fact that it's multi-sport ownership in one city, with the netball, he's now talking about Trent Rockets and things like that. It's those things that excite me, that he's concentrating on Nottingham and concentrating on building the Forest brand, really, and that can only help us in the long run. So, this I'm certainly not, the biggest fan of what have you, but I do like what he's doing in that sense. And I think the netball thing is superb. Whether other sports come to the city, even better, under the Nottingham Forest badge and the Nottingham Forest name. And these kids at school who aren't necessarily into football but might like another sport suddenly are wearing the Forest badge for that. So I love it. And that's something that isn't really happening anywhere else in England. So we should really be getting behind that, I'd say.
Just before we start finishing up for today, a word for our second sponsors, Global Telemetrics. As you know, award-winning vehicle tracking company recovered £39.4 million worth of vehicles in 2023. The Ford Ranger on screen, if you're watching on YouTube, was recovered in July, so last month. One of the chop shops had 6 cars ready in containers destined for Africa, but they stopped it and arrests have now been made. So there you go. If you're looking to secure your vehicle, car, commercial vehicle, anything like that, then they are the people for you. And thanks for their backing as ever. Right, let's just finish up talking about this week in general, Kelvin. We've got Newcastle in the Cup on Wednesday, Wolves on Saturday. Obviously, the transfer deadline is coming up on Friday. How important is this week in the season potentially, do you think?
I think Wednesday, I think it would be nice to stay in the cup just to give people like Tyro minutes, to play, and players that aren't playing, just keep them ticking over. Obviously, it would be nice to win the cup if we got to the final, but I think the be all and end all is staying in the Premier League. That's the most important thing. So that will be the main priority this season. But I think the longer we stay in the cups, will only breed more confidence for players, and I think it will give the squad players more minutes. Saturday, I think, it's another big game. Every game's a big game, but again, a winnable game, without a doubt, a winnable game.
Yeah, I mean, I as people know, watch this. I've got a lot of Wolves mates. They were absolutely raging yesterday. Like they said, their centre halves were horrific. Like some of the worst performances they've seen. They got an absolute hiding at the hands of Chelsea. How does that play into the dynamic on Saturday, Kelvin, from experience? Because I feel like we can definitely win that game now. Well, I thought we could before.
Them Wolves players will be lower than a snake's belly this morning. I can tell you that. You lose. What was it? What did it finish? 6-2.
6-2, yeah.
When it finishes like that, it's 6 goals, especially as a defender and a goalkeeper. It's gonna affect you big time. So they will be very cautious on Saturday at the weekend at the City Ground, and I think Forest have got to capitalise on it. They've got to make the most of it. I think at home we always look really good at home, and I think it'll be a great chance for the forward players to open them up and create many chances. So I think we'll win that game, and I think we'll win the game comfortably. Yeah.
Greg's told me he was going to be quite calm about this week, so and not predicting Champions League at all. So I assume you're not going to predict we're going to beat Wolves comfortably. How are you feeling about this week?
I'm excited for Wednesday. I always love that first League Cup game, just to see players that you haven't seen play yet. Hopefully we'll see the goalkeeper change. Nothing against those. We've got this new keeper we need to see, and it's the perfect and only opportunity really that we're going to see that in a busy stadium and a competitive first team match. So I'm excited. It'd be lovely to beat Newcastle. That'd be nice. But beating Wolves on Saturday, having 7 points out of 3 games, that'd comfortably put us in the top 6, I'd imagine. Why not? Why not? You'd have took that. I know I said 9 points at the start, but you'd absolutely, as a realist, take 7 points. So I didn't think Wolves looked that bad in spots on Sunday. I watched the game and I thought, they've still got so much quality going forwards. But they're injured now, aren't they? And that's good for us. They were embarrassed by that. Your first home game of the season doing that. That's not good enough. And Chelsea certainly on a top 4 side at the minute. So let's continue that and really go at Wolves and hopefully, like I say, finish the weekend on 7 points. That'd be fantastic because we'd be 7 points off the relegation zone as well. Because there's still going to be 3 teams down there with nothing after Saturday. I can assure you that.
They did play well first half by the sound of it. And for those who put any stock in XG, Wolves actually had a higher XG, which shows Chelsea must have been banging in some unbelievable finishes. But yeah, I still feel like it's definitely a very eminently winnable game. Just quickly entertain this one. There's a few whispers about James Ward-Prowse. It comes from Football Insider, who aren't always accurate, shall we say. But also I see The Athletic and a couple of other outlets saying West Ham might be willing to sell him. James Ward-Prowse, Kelvin, any thoughts quickly?
Yeah, good player, but where's he going to play? Would you put him over anyone apart from his set pieces? And don't get me wrong, he's a good player, but I don't see how I would fit him in. If he's going to be a squad player, and he has to fight to get into the team, yeah, but I'm not jumping for joy like, yes, he'll go in there or he'll go in there. Yeah, if we sign him, squad, I guess.
What's happened there then? Is he not playing for West Ham?
Oh,
When he signed, I remember thinking, God, he's like the player just because of his set pieces, like you say, like what a signing for them. But
I guess new manager might not fancy him. They've spent a bit of money. It says they're signing another midfielder from PSG. So I suppose the other thing as well, just before we go, we're going on as usual. You don't want to block Elliot Anderson's pathway really by signing other players, do you?
I was going to say that as well, Matt. I was going to say we've signed him. Why are we going to sign Ward-Prowse? Like I say, he's not. I wouldn't sign him and say yes, he'll slot straight into there. If he came and he played a couple of games and he was on fire, that's great. But he's not someone who you look at and think yes, he'll go straight into the team. As good as he is at set pieces, unfortunately, the game isn't played just on set pieces, and we're not a team that we can just carry a player just waiting for a set piece. We need. And that's not saying that it's a bad player, but I just don't. He's not someone that I would personally be like, wow, yes, let's get him in.
Yeah, we need Elliot Anderson to take James Ward-Prowse's set pieces basically, and then we're sorted. So yeah, let's see how Elliot Anderson develops. Certainly, right. Any other business? Any final thoughts before we go, Greg Mitchell?
Just I didn't get a chance to say, about Joe Worrell. Just what a player he's been for us, and superb career, and many, many, many good memories of what he's done for Forest. So just really glad he's gone to a club that no doubt will be back in the Premier League, and he'll be back in the Premier League within the season as well. So just never underestimate how important he was for us, especially those championship games. So I was sad to see him go, but I think it was the right time, and I just hope he gets back in the Premier League soon, because he certainly deserves it. He's a top bloke.
I think he will. I think Burnley should go up, shouldn't they? I would say. Any final thoughts from you, Cal, before we go?
No, just looking forward to the games. Wednesday, seeing some new players and stuff, seeing how we get on, and then obviously Saturday, hopefully we can carry on kicking up that league and staying in the top six, Greg?
I've got plans. It'll be a nightmare if we ever get to Europe. I don't know.
Oh no, how terrible.
Europe.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Oh yeah. Couple of years. I'm not sure about this year. Couple of years.
Yeah.
Right. We'll be back tomorrow with a couple of shows. Newcastle preview, transfer news chat, and then a Newcastle opposition preview, and then loads through the week. Also, like I said, live show tickets are out now. The show is next Thursday evening at the NAV, 7 p.m. with Lewis and a few of the regulars. Link is in the description, and I'll probably drop it in the live chat at the bottom of this as well before we depart. So get your tickets for that. That's about it. I had a lovely weekend. Winning, it just changes your mood so much, especially for you people like you, Greg, who go to the games and travel up and down the country. 3 Premier League away games in a row we've won now. So, that was
right.
Yeah, I mean, we won't say who they were against, but can you remember?
It doesn't matter, does it? Yeah, of course. Sheffield United, Burnley, and these.
Exactly.
I never even clicked on about that. I did see a stat about Nuno's away form, like something like 1.14 points per game or something. So that's the type of thing that does get you playing in Albania on a Thursday night, doesn't it? So let's keep going.
Yeah, we're doing well. So that was a lovely Saturday. Went for a good long walk last night. I've done naffle exercise for weeks. And believe it or not, I'd probably go to the gym less than Kelvin Wilson and do less exercise than Greg Mitchell, who's always down the gym at the spa. So it was nice to put some headphones on and listen to good music, or I think good music, including some Oasis, and go for a walk for about an hour. So yeah, lovely weekend. Get off your seats, get out and about today if you can. But thank you for listening to us in the meantime. Greg Mitchell, thank you very much.
Cheers. Always a pleasure after an away win. Hopefully there'll be a few more.
I think there will. Kelvin Wilson, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
We shall hopefully see you tomorrow, but if we don't, we shall see you soon. Thanks very much, everyone.